Well, Dr. Ona Ekhomu joins us now to take a look at all that has been said and done. Maybe some, not all, because we may not have all the time about that. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Good morning, sir.
Well, it's not just a busy time for journalists, even security analysts too. You'll be going through documents, scenarios as they play themselves out. But a lot is being said about what we need to do to ensure we have violence-free polls. From your analysis and from what you've seen, how do you see this playing out?
Well, we don't seem to be trending very well. The trend, if you go by an attack just yesterday again on the president's convoy, previous attacks in Bauchi and Katsina states, and then the bombings in some places like the Okrika APC secretariat in Rivers State. We don't seem to be trending well, but I think there is consensus around the room, particularly from political leaders, that violence must be talked down, violence must be stopped, and particularly they're getting a lot of support from the media, and saying that people should eschew violence during the elections, so that persons are not disenfranchised, going in there. But I like to see it a little bit differently. I want to see a little bit more enforcement from the authorities. Because stopping violence is not, just moral suasion or platitudinal statements. You need enforcement action. And so,
but because, beyond the words that the politicians are saying, how much of those words is hitting the target?
Well, that's my problem, because those are just platitudes, because you say it, and then somebody commits the next day and nothing happens. So that's impunity. And in fact, it's an encouragement to commit even further. So I think what needs to happen right now is that our security agencies need to really stand up and be counted, particularly the police agency, because it is their job to ensure that acts of violence are investigated, prosecuted, and punished. And we are not seeing that right now. So what I did, I called, we did a think tank and came up with a solution. We called for a special anti-election violence investigations unit, SAVI.
With the security agencies or
no,
the police?
Just for the police. No other person needs to be involved in this, really, because the police can do it. They have sufficient powers from the Police Act, from the Constitution, to do all of this. So because if you have a special anti-robbery squad for armed robbers, you have a anti-kidnap squad, you have ATS, that's anti-terrorism squad, you have even for human traffickers too. So why is it that the election that is so important, so fundamental, and this has to do with how this country is governed, why is it that we have this existential problem, existential threat, and nobody is doing anything about it?
How is that squad going to deal with, because it looks as if it's a unique situation we have, because the other day I was reading the IGP ordering that those thugs or political ones who have been arrested be prosecuted immediately. But the thing is, there's a process. The report there says we have 2 big weeks to the main elections. So how many can you be seen to have prosecuted to send a message in 2 weeks?
Excellent. You see, that the problem here is generalized. Generalized meaning there's a diffusion of the problem out there. There's no focus on it as such. Now, if you have the SAVI unit, like I've called for, if you have a SAVI unit, they will go after, take the incident that just happened yesterday. Now, how many persons have been arrested, first of all, on that? What is the evidence that we have? You see, these are things that you can do right away. It's quick wins. These are things you can do between now and election, and you can bring a halt to election violence. The units, what unit are we saying? We only want a statement, we want a pronouncement from the Inspector General saying, I hereby create, it's called a force order, I hereby create such a unit in every SCID. SCID, State Criminal Investigation Department. They are in every state, all 36 states and Abuja. They are there already. You create a unit Now, what another input that the IG needs is headship. You need a tough guy as commissioner who will run this operation. Now, what does that do? Because you have violence everywhere. Let me just tell you, they may not be as well reported, but you have them in little creeks and nooks and crannies here and there, such that in every state you have that empowerment, you have that capability, you have that structure. That is what is missing. The structure is not there, and now you follow through with the process activities that will ensure that these things are looked into. Because the investigation, you say, okay, go and prosecute people. How are you going to prosecute them without investigation? You need evidence to prosecute
which is
them.
key.
Yeah, it's key. So that's why we are saying SAVI, Special Anti-Election Violence Investigations Unit. The investigation is key in all of this.
Let me comment here.
Yes,
I've realized over time that there are indications of violence from so many actions of people.
Yes.
In other words, you can see it before it does happen.
Before it becomes.
You have a trend.
Actors.
Good. Why is it difficult for the enforcement agencies to step in when they see the first signal go out?
Well, again, because like I said, you don't have this focus. Unless you focus a problem, it doesn't get solved. It just gets diffused in the system. People talk about it. Some persons have acted yesterday, for example. I'm just saying, let's take the most recent example. Some persons have acted yesterday. Now, what has happened? If you have a unit like that, they will go out and they will cause arrest. They will gather all the evidence that they can. And then they will come out and tell us. They will tell the world. They will tell Channel Television. They will tell Nigerians, oh, we have arrested so-and-so persons. Then they will put them up. They will put their picture. We arrested these guys. This is what they did. This is their act. And we are processing them through the criminal justice system. First of all, you take them out of the stream. And they are not there to purvey more violence, as it were. And then you are now telling others, like minds like them, that, look, we are doing something about this. And, when you start that process, that is how you are going to, on a quick wing, nip this violence. Because if not, we keep talking about these things, because people say it, and then others go and do whatever they want to do, including those who speak. If you incite violence, then you should also be picked up. It's not just those who actually throw the stones, or, they'll graduate from throwing stones to firing weapons. It's not just those who throw stones. After all, David killed Goliath with a stone. So, so not just those who throw stones, but those who even incite violence.
What about, if people will ask if that is really feasible? Because if these things are happening, say, in a crowd, for instance, how do you begin to arrest? The security agencies, too, could also be in some danger.
They could be endangered, yeah, like they were in Borno. What happened when they went, when they were trying to leave, when that Boko Haram attack came. Now, so that's why there is a specialized unit. There are people there. You have to ask for evidence. You have to canvass evidence. Anytime there's a crime in a place, you go, you try through a cordon, and then you get witnesses in there, and they will tell you what they saw. They will tell you who was throwing stones, who was involved. Some people even have, everybody's now a secret agent. We all have these cameras in our pockets where you can take video, you can take photographs. So all of those, you collect them. Those form the evidentiary base. Because what happens right now, because this is not being done as an investigation, that's the key word there, investigation. Because it's not being done as an investigation, we are not gathering evidence. And if you don't gather evidence, you cannot prosecute. So you just hold the guys for 2-3 days, whatever the law allows, and you let them go. And then they are free to go and commit more violence.
But on a scale of 1 to 100, how prone to violence would you say we are in this 2015 elections?
Well, I would say we are more in the 60 percentile. More in the 60 percentile because now the politicians seem to be making a very serious commitment to bringing down violence. Then the visit by Mr. Kerry recently and the subtle threats there might also dissuade some persons who might have wanted to stir violence. But the problem is the people who are actually going to carry out these acts of violence, they don't need U.S. visas because they are not going to no U.S. So they don't need U.S. visas, and they are the ones who I'm really worried about, you know, in the main. Of course, you also see what's going on with the people who are throwing stones right now, and you know, they are not. Nothing's happening to them.
Because we seem to be going back and forth. If Secretary Kerry has been here, and he's said all that much, and before then we had the peace accord, and every time we moved forward thinking that we had said something enough to deter us, we take a lot of steps backwards. So if you look at comments on front pages yesterday, and now you get to see also a reaction from those ex-militants whom T.Y. Danjuma had asked that they be questioned or arrested. Where do we go from here? If you're calling that those who threw stones, perhaps those are the ordinary talakawas you can easily pick, have been picked, what about those who seem to be big fish? Are we scared?
Well, no.
Do we have untouchables?
My take on it is that any fish, big or small, as long as you are swimming in shark-infested waters, you know, you should be called into question. Because, you know, look, we are a country of laws, okay? Go back to your history, 1215, Magna Carta. It says, the king holds power under the law. So the king, Mr. President, Jonathan, holds power under the law. So nobody's above the law in this country. So if anyone offends, you know, and if it's clear that there's an offense, then perhaps the person should be called into question. The thing is, again, like I said, there's no focus, because when you leave it, you're talking about pages of newspaper, that is a discussion. What about what's being done in terms of enforcement? Who is empowered specifically in the police agency to enforce that law? If there's nobody empowered, then it's a generalized thing. So it's up to whomever.
Is that where this savvy will help?
That's the whole idea of the savvy.